start by rating it. So 0, worst movie ever, 10, best movie ever, and 5 is average.
Oh, I did not.
Ah,
my
it's
back.
not showing.
Okay. We do this every time. I got it. I fixed it.
You got an 8.9.
E.
I'm a
It's blurring.
7.5.
7.5.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Let me ask you first.
Yeah, go ahead.
What did you give Black Panther, the original one?
The original one. I don't remember, bro. I watched it on an airplane, by the way, the first time, so it wasn't probably the best experience. But the reason I have a critique on your rating, it's because you gave it a much higher score than Nope, and for me, Nope was better.
Oh no, Nope was most certainly not better than this. This was a roller coaster.
Come on.
Okay. Oh no.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it. Go ahead.
I give the original Black Panther a good 8.9.5 out of 9, like a 9. I give it like a 9 out of 10. I genuinely love that movie. I thought it was an excellent depiction of what the Black Panther could have been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love what they did with all the characters. I even like some of the side characters like M'Baku. It's just super fun characters who really do bring something to the story, but they're not so important that they will count for the downfall of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe if they die. But like interesting to the story, relevant to the plot. I enjoy the story. I thought this movie was just as good. I wouldn't say it's better. I do have some critiques for it, obviously, which is why it's at like an 8.9 and not a 9. But I love this movie. This was probably the best movie out of Phase 4, which is fair because it's the end of Phase 4. So,
okay, let me jump ahead,
please.
Okay, first of all, since we talked about Nope, I feel that Nope had a much better build-up than this one. When you look at this movie specifically, you have to understand there's a difference between the plot-oriented movie and the character-oriented movie. Now, obviously, every movie has both, but at different weights. The problem with this movie is that they didn't know how to approach it, whether it was plot-oriented or character-oriented, because I was interested in the plot when they were mentioning colonialism at the beginning. I thought it was going to be about colonialism. But suddenly, midway through the movie, oh, this is Sherry's story, and it's a character-oriented story. So they were trying to cover a lot of ground, which they weren't able to do so. And I can easily prove it by the fact that the fight scenes were really, really cut short, if you notice that. I needed more of those fight scenes. They were trying to accelerate those fight scenes. The fight scenes weren't as intense as every movie viewer would want to see them. So they were trying to cover a lot of ground. And when you look at how they started to talk about colonialism and suddenly midway through it, it's Sherry's story, they didn't give me enough of colonialism and they didn't give me enough of Sherry. And suddenly we see it's all about Shuri and she's like Wakanda forever and all of that. That's my whole problem. You either make it Shuri's story and start from the beginning, show me Shuri's evolution. Instead, they spend a lot of time on Ramonda, which I obviously didn't care. Sorry. She died. Okay, that's a sad story, but that was Shuri's story. You have to give me more of Shuri, not spend 35, 40 minutes talking about Ramonda, who's going to end up being killed. And that's not her story from the beginning. If you don't want to make it Shuri's story, make it about colonialism, which was good. I liked how they made it about colonialism. But then they switched completely. They did like a 180 and about how they want to do the storytelling. This is why I feel they ran out of time and it didn't give me what I wanted to see. Hi, Eddie. So we were starting talking about rating. Matt gave it an 8.9. I gave it a 7.5. So what do you have to say?
I gave it a solid 7.2. Let me just begin by saying that I think seeing like the sort of the Mayan culture sort of represented and just that sort of indigenous population of my country was just so moving to me, and it was this close to just completely overwashing any opinions I've had of the film, because like I just love seeing that on film, and I'm like, I don't care what this movie is, as long as if I see that, I'm totally cool. And that was amazing. I felt like it was a very emotional tribute to Chadwick for sure. The beginning and the end, like I definitely cheered up 100%. And I kind of got the tail end of like what you guys were talking about here. Seems a very hot takes here and there. So you guys were talking about Shuri, so I will kind of come in with that. I sort of agree with the fact that sort of her story was not fully fleshed out, only because whenever that point came in time where she lost her mother, obviously she's driven by emotion. You know, I understand the motivation behind her, you know, maybe latching on to the whole Killmonger ideology, but she abandoned almost every single principle sort of almost just suddenly. And I would have thought that, and this is the hardest part about being a filmmaker in this movie, because you can't bring Chadwick Boseman on screen to kind of guide her, because that would have been the person to guide her, I think, along with her mom. But I think the problem that I had was it was just such an extreme pendulum swing that felt like just slightly inauthentic, even though the motivation was there, even though the reasoning was there. I mean, she just lost her mother, so and so. Now, so that's one thing that I just was really kind of thrown off by, because like it was also like I wasn't sure whose story it was as well. Like I feel like there was a sort of a focus issue for me, even though Shuri, I would argue, would be the protagonist of the story, but like it was just so hard to root for her, because like, you know, she comes off as like this really, she's really smart, really sweet, really like basically like her mother, but like then just to abandon her principles was just so shocking to me from a development standpoint. But I don't know if you, but here's the other side of that coin too. Not with this character, but with Tinoch. You know, he wants to cause mass genocide. I was so like annoyed by that extreme as well. Like I get what he saw as a kid was just horrendous and stuff like that, but you're gonna go ahead and kill billions of people because of like one nation to do that? That really bothered me, because there could have been thousands of other reasons to attack a certain group of people, maybe, you know. But genocide, I'm like, that's an extreme, and I didn't buy that at all. I didn't think that was a really his childhood experience shouldn't have been a definitive motivator to cause mass genocide. So I was very annoyed by that part of his story. So and then just one last thing on Shuri before like he's gonna kill him. That's when she hears her mother, like, and finally like that kind of, it just felt too convenient for me. I didn't feel like that was her like making that choice, you know, because she met Killmonger in the dream, and then I was like, okay, yeah, you know what, you know, sure, I'm nothing like you, but actually, yeah, I'm just proving that I am. And anyway,
Matt,
so
Matt, go ahead.